Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the June 30th board meeting. And I guess we'll start things off by approving the minutes from the April meeting. Do we have a motion? Do we need to reread them? Does anyone require that we read the minutes from the April meeting?
No, not me.
Okay. In that case, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the April board meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Is there any old business that we need to attend to? Or are we just going to rush right into the RV budget? Well, let's do that then. Let's start tackling the items we have on the agenda one by one. And right now we have the RV budget. John Reed's electrical plan. You probably got an email from Bruce today with the attachments. Is there any discussion on that?
Now, does the spreadsheet, I was just opening it up, does it have amounts on it? Because I noticed that the other document does not, I mean, the agenda mentions the amount for the groundworks, but not the other, not the electrical. We got the plan, but what's the plan going to cost?
But the budget was attached to one of the
You have to
emails.
speak up, Bruce. We can't hear you.
I said, yeah, but the budget documents and drawing were attached to the email, so.
With the breakdown. It had a
breakdown.
breakdown.
I can share that. Just a second.
Am I looking at the wrong documents?
I'm looking at a spreadsheet that has,
It should be an Excel.
sorry,
It should be Excel document.
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That must have got sent out in the previous email. It's not one I have.
Or it was amended, one of the two.
Yeah, I sent it out today along with the drawing.
That's it.
And that's, okay, that's the electrical. That is just electrical.
That's right.
Yes.
And then there's 850 for the land clearing. And I don't know, John, is there a ditch witch rental in this budget?
No,
Okay, so we would have to add a ditch witch too. Be about another $150 or $180.
So, John, can you run us through, or you have, after having met with First Electric, what is the new proposal and how that does not really, the trenching doesn't go to the panel that we have in place now. The trenching goes north of the buildings and pads over to
Yeah.
the new location. Can you walk us through that? Make sure everybody understands.
sure. Let me see if I can pull up the plan. See, where would that be?
I'll pull it up.
Okay,
I've got it handy. Say I do, where is it? Oh. Plan, I'll have to share screen. If I can get it to open. There. I'll share screen. I'm viewing
Okay.
Danny's screen. Have you got it up there already, Danny?
Somebody does.
somebody
Yes.
does.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I do have it up.
Well, anyway, there's no way I can point though, is there? That's okay.
Well, if it's on your screen, whose screen is that?
It's my screen, it's Danny.
Okay, so yeah, he can't do it.
There should be there should be annotation tools that anybody that has privileges can use, but it
Oh.
maybe a trick to find where they are.
Oh, really? Well, that'd be cool.
We may be here
How do I do it?
longer than we want to be. I forget where they're at. Somewhere inside of Zoom. If you've got the right privileges, you'll have the ability to annotate on the screen regardless of whether you're presenting.
View options, annotate. Ooh, I never knew you could do that. So
Right.
can you see my little arrow now? I clicked the mouse thing.
I don't see it.
You'll have to draw or
What
do
about-
something like that.
Oh, you actually have to draw? Okay, let me see if this will work. I'm gonna draw.
I see.
Oh, I put a little John Reed thing there. You see
I
that?
see it.
Look-
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, that is the current power pole that serves our property. Then there's an intermediate pole right there where the arrow is now. That's the pole where we connect on to their wiring. Well, that's kind of where our conduit runs to. They actually provide the wire all the way to the meter, which is down here. That'll do it. There you go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the conduit goes underground from there all the way back to that pole in the woods. And so my proposal in this case is to put the new service right there next to the edge of the pavers or the parking area. Probably backed off enough in the woods, people wouldn't hit it with their car when they're parking. And that would be where the new meter would be. All the existing wiring from that point down to the old meter location would remain as is and be undisturbed. We would have to buy a bypass kit for the old meter and just basically bypass it and blank it off. But we don't have to disturb any of that work. That can just stay how it is. The trenching would now be from that meter location to the RV receptacle, which I move my arrow down there. And the new panel would be there for the RV equipment. One receptacle will be mounted with that panel. Then they'd have two remote ones down there in front of each spot. Probably those two could be combined to one post and put both plugs on one post. It wouldn't have to be two different posts, but it's a minor thing. So basically I'm figuring the wire to go from the meter location that I'm showing now down to the new location. Here, there had been some discussion about trying to reuse the old wire to feed this, but you would have to pull the old wire out of the old conduit that goes down to the bat cave and then pull it back into the new conduit, which is very rough on wire. You might actually end up damaging it and end up having to replace both. So, well, I guess there was some hope to get the utility to buy the wire all the way down to the meter, which I guess would be a way to go, but you would have to trench then through all the observing area and whatnot over to where I show the RVs. So I thought this would be an easy install compared to all those others. It just means we have to buy the wire. Everything else that's on that list stays the same. Whether you put it down there or up at the parking lot, because you still have to, everything's 100 amp and we're going to 200 amp. So you still have to have 200 amp meter and panel, and all that would have to be done down at the Bat Cave if you didn't do it up at the parking level. So this is a more direct method. It's directly, you have less line lengths and all that. So the power quality would be better. I think it's the way to do it.
We also don't have to worry about trenching, cutting into a line, a buried line, if we do it up there, or at least far less chance.
Right. There's no lines up there to my knowledge.
Yeah.
In the past, we talked
water
about,
line. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in the past, we talked about bringing power to what we've referred to as the Dobsonian platforms. And what happened is, you know, a lot of people who now have Dobsonians that require power because they're go-to. And when things are filled up, and we've had nights when a lot of people are there, people without Dobsonians have been there, and we've been tapping into poor Bruce's plug. Is that still an option, or is that not in the future, in the near future?
Yeah, it could be. That's why I moved it. The new RV post, I moved it to the east. They're kind of behind the pump house. We could run from there over to the pads and put in some little receptacles, kind of similar to what the triangle pads have.
If we do that, we're going to be creating about 4 really big trip hazards.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was going to say the same thing.
That's the reason we didn't put power into those in the first place. But
Why is that going to be creating a trip hazard if you put it right up against the block?
Because it's gonna stick up and be,
What if we attach them to the buildings?
yeah, I was gonna say we could attach outlets to the RRT building and maybe the.
Yeah, but when you do that, the people like when I have to run to Bruce's place, there's a, you know, my extension cord's running and people could trip on that. Why not, instead of it being a high cord, why doesn't it be lower so it's almost at ground level? I don't know.
John,
Think about it.
John, are there some code issues with how far an outlet has to be off the ground?
Yeah, well, you want to give it, I don't know about code specifically, but you certainly want it up above where the weed eater wouldn't get into it and so
Right.
forth.
Or the mower.
Or the mower.
let me ask a question and then make a comment. Is there?
Bruce, could you speak up? I can barely hear you.
Okay, let me ask a question real quick. Is it possible to put a little red light inside a fixture? A plug, socket deal where it reflects it, powers onto that socket? That
Yeah,
might make
I'm
it
sure you could do it.
conspicuous?
You could do it. I mean, I'm not sure right off the top of my head what I'd use that would hold up over time.
Yeah.
I don't want to get us off track, but this is classic scope creep. We've had a motion before the board, and now we're extending the scope of the motion before the board.
Okay, I thought if we're doing this anyway, we might as well think
Yeah,
about doing
and
it.
it's been discussed a number of times.
I don't disagree. I just, if that needs to be taken into consideration, this needs to be tabled and then the whole scope brought
Okay,
back in.
that's fine.
Well, there'd be nothing to prevent us from doing it later. We just have to run a small conduit or a direct buried wire from the RV load center to the buildings or wherever we want to put it.
Well, if we have that kind of flexibility, then let's just move that option to one side and just focus on the main issue right now.
Okay.
John, do you have any more to tell us?
Well, the only thing, can we put up the budget again real quick? All right, so of all these items, the one that's gonna cost extra because we don't reuse that cable is the we might be able to, that $576 for the 100 feet of, that would be the only thing we would save if we tried to reuse that cable and got them to pull the wire all the way to the meter. Everything else would essentially stay as is. So that cost, all the rest of it is all stuff we'd have to do anyway, because it's not a 200 amp service currently. That's the whole point of this, is we're upgrading it to 200 amps. And by the way, the way we're doing this, the power company is not charging anything.
Okay.
John, I'm confused. When you say reuse the cable, when we were looking at the diagram, what portion of that run are you talking about reusing? Is there going to be deadline after this?
No.
I'm
Go
I'm
back to
confused where
the
that-
drawing
yeah.
if you can.
Yeah, there was going to be a deadline when we went to the existing power meter.
Yeah, if we
Right.
look at the original idea to pull it all the way from here, Chris, down to the back.
Okay. So yeah, so then we were going to go to the north along the little rock wall between the amphitheater and the.
Yeah, that was the old plan.
Yeah, the old plan.
So
So
that would have leftover wire, but this plan would not have. This would not orphan any wire, and there would just be a new splice or a junction there to the north of the parking area.
Yeah, we moved
Right.
the meter from the back cave up to the edge of the parking area and leave the wire on the ground that's already there.
Yeah, we'd want that setback to be pretty good bit, because the flagpole, we thought we had it set back far enough, and we had a big old truck with a huge hitch back in and take our flagpole out. That had to be 3-4 feet back behind the cross ties. I don't know how in the world he ended up hitting that. I mean, it was just, how do you hit that little flag? It was perfect lineup.
Well, you could always put a railroad tie down or something so people wouldn't back up that far. If you didn't want to push your meter all the way back into the woods.
We did. We put the flagpole about 3 feet behind the cross ties.
I was gonna say there were railroad cross ties there, but it still didn't stop the pickup truck
Yeah,
backing into it.
I think 5 feet would be more like it.
May I
John,
ask?
what?
There is a big
Go
cedar.
ahead,
tree.
Darcy.
There is a big cedar tree right there, so they're gonna have to run right through that tree to get to it.
Darcy, you had a question?
Yes, may I ask why you're be using a direct berry Romex? I ask that because we've had that on our place and we had some fail after about 25 years. 25 years seems like a long time, but it sure went by a lot faster than we thought it would.
Well,
just barely got it
because
paid off.
That's what we've got everywhere else out there. And it's cheaper than conduit and wire and everything. On the bigger stuff, I am using conduit and wire, but the small RV runs, I'm using direct buried Romex. Wouldn't have to.
Well, be
But,
sure and you put a caution tape on top of it. So when you're digging for something else, you'll hit the caution tape before you hit the
Yeah.
actual wire.
That's what you're supposed to do, correct? We did that, didn't we, Chris, when we did all that other?
There's so many. I mean, if bless whoever's heart's going to dig out in that observing field someday. They're going to hit lines and they're going to freak out. Some of them are going to be dead. Some of them are going to be live. It's going to be an archaeologist's just dream. I mean, they're going to be puzzled over that place for decades.
Well,
John
20
used to have a drawing for it, and he was looking for it the other day. We can put it on Dropbox.
yeah, I haven't had much luck so far. I think it's 2 computers back, and I'm not sure where, if it made the transition.
John, what
yes.
sort of, two questions. What sort of timeline do you think we would be offline? And what risk do we have is there a risk to our existing run that we may incur some extra cost?
Risk is pretty low. The time could be, because see, we have to dig up the spot where the conduit crosses under the railroad ties there. That we can do ahead of time, but in order to cut that open, you know, and pull the wire back and then install the elbow, we have to have the power off for that. So then at that point, we call the power company and tell them to unhook us, and we build, put the elbows in and all that. We might be able to set our meter center and all there, but I think what might probably be best thing to do would be build it, put the posts on it, but don't set it in the ground until we see exactly where the conduits are. So I don't know, we might be more than we can do in a weekend. So then that means we'd be down till the next weekend to finish up. It's hard to say. There's a lot of the work we could do before we have them turn the power off, and it's all in how much we can get done that way. And then the RV part can come anytime. We don't even have to do that initially. Once we just get the meter set and everything, get the power turned back on, because it'll have its own breaker the way I've designed it. So we can run the power to the RV thing at any point, unless we just want to do it while we have the trencher. Well, we wouldn't need the trencher until then. That's when, so really we could do that anytime.
Could you
Yeah.
stage this out for us, like, give us an itinerary of what we need to be doing ahead of time to prep all this stuff for the big work?
Yeah, I guess we could. Now, I will say that I don't know exactly where that conduit is. I mean, obviously it goes to that pole and you can see that pole, and I know it comes up there at the back cave, but I think it must dogleg a little bit around Bruce's building, because I think it's always been there, even back when we did that work.
Do you need a
Um,
metal
there used-
detector to help find it?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll work. I think it's going to be a matter of just digging it up.
John, I
It's
was-
not super deep. It's really only about a foot deep because we put it in.
So
And,
John, didn't that run before we hooked it up to what is now the refractor building, or the bat cave, or whatever we want to call it? There was a post just to the east of Bruce's building that the service ran to, and we tied into the service at that post. And I think when we never got the post completely out of the ground, and we ended up just, I think, turning it upside down. And to this day, there's a small wooden patch where that post was.
yeah, you're right. But nothing we have now goes to that.
But isn't that
Um,
post a direct line of sight to the, wouldn't it be direct line to that, to the service point by the road?
Well, it depends. I think we ran the conduit actually over a bit from that. Well, I don't think we took pictures. Probably should have. We'll just have to. We'll just have to get a shovel and dig around until we find it. It won't be that far off.
I don't think it'll be that hard.
Because we can see that pole and we know it's got to get to there.
Yeah, I was up there looking last weekend, John, and line of sight from the pole in the woods to the bat cave runs underneath Bruce's building. So it either goes under Bruce's building or around it like you've drawn it.
Yeah, I think
Doesn't
it goes around it. I'm pretty sure.
Was the building there when you guys did that?
I think so.
Okay, then
I
yeah,
think it's been there a long time.
But if we go with the new plan, we don't have to do anything with that line.
no,
Right.
we just have to find that buried conduit back at the tree line.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll dig up that conduit. And once the power is off, we'll cut it in two and try not to cut the wire, but if we do cut, we cut it long, you know, and then maybe cut it again further back when we have a little shorter piece to deal with. And you leave the wire intact coming out of your cut piece, and you put an elbow on that and turn it up. And then the old wire will go into our new 200 amp panel. And then we'll have the conduit that goes to the pole. We just put an elbow on it empty, and they're going to pull a new wire in. They'll buy that, they said. So, and that's it. We have to drive a ground rod and some of that stuff. I've got
Drive a
money in
ground
there for
rod up
that.
there.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
want to be
Dennis
around
said.
when we're trying to drive a ground rod up there. That
I've driven 4 or 5 of them up there, and it's a good workout.
there's only one rock up there. Starts over somewhere around Perryville and ends up somewhere over near Maumelle.
Bruce could do it. He likes to drive ground rods. No answer.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, we've got a few other items on our agenda here, and I've got to head out here around 8 o'clock or 8:30. So does anyone have any more questions they want to put to John?
Thank you.
We need a motion.
So does anyone want to frame this as a motion that we can vote on?
Do we have the final budget lined out with anything to add to it?
Well, he's got $1,900 and we've got $850. So that's $2,750. I mean, that's yeah, $2,750.
And then
Another
a trenching.
150, another 150 for a ditcher would be $2,900. It looks like to me it's a $3,000 budget.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the return from the folks that are they're going to be using that. Bruce, you figured that to be 2 years.
No, this has exploded on us a little bit. We've got 2 people on a $20 plan. We got John on a $15 plan. So that's $55. And Carol, Robert Carroll, says he's interested in I think it would be a $20 plan. So if we did that, that'd be $75 a month. Now we got to make sure we got room for 4 trailers, but I
I'm gonna
think,
say we've only got 3 hookups planned right now.
yeah.
Yeah, and we could add a hookup. It would be a little bit of money, but not, it's big enough to run 4.
Well,
I don't know if you got room for 4.
and you told me, Danny, that all these trailers come with long extension cords anyway, so.
I don't think I said that, Bruce. Those extension cords are shorter than you might think.
At any rate,
Well,
I think the tree would have to go for sure.
Oh,
that cedar
I like
probably
that
wouldn't
tree.
survive.
I don't think
we have room if we cut the cedar tree. We may have room even if we don't. But one way or another, we could make room for 4.
it would be to our benefit to make room for 4 if we can.
So you do the math. Let's say it's at $55. That's $700 a year into 3,000.
We're talking several years then for it.
Yeah, well,
Talking about
4.5 years.
over 4 years. If we get 75, then that's going to shorten it down to maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
We have the budget. What is our current balance, Jim?
For the checking, or you mean the budget?
No, what-
Or we have $10,458 in the checking account. We have 2 CDs that each have about they average at $2,600. One of those will renew in August. The other one just renewed, so we can't touch it for 11 months.
$15,000 in liquid assets then.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, how much? I couldn't make it
Repeat
out.
that.
15,700 in liquid assets.
Okay,
All right. Okay.
So we could if we wanted to, we could cash the upcoming CD, which is gaining a 0.2% interest.
Oh,
Uh,
a barn burner.
Yeah, and that's, might as well play the lottery. So if we wanted to, we could cash that one in to help fund this.
I would make a motion to move forward as it's been outlined here with a budget of $3,000.
Yes, I would second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 I-
Any opposed? All right. Moving on then, do we need to discuss the ground prep and all that? Is that part of the
That was part
package?
of it. Part of it.
Okay, then we'll go on to item number 3, the RRT computer. Danny?
all right, let me get that document pulled up. So what I had here is two options. One of them being the Cadillac option with the Primalucci Labs Eagle 4S computer that mounts on the scope. All told, with everything we would need, that option is about almost $2,000. And then we have the more budget-friendly option where we get an Intel Nuke, which is a miniature cube-shaped PC that we could mount on the wall. With that option, we just need to buy an SSD drive big enough to contain the user images. And then this is a power distribution box that would go on the scope that would feed things like the camera, the rotator, the focuser, the mount, that sort of thing. So we don't have so many cables across the building. Then there's a power supply. And then I threw in some miscellaneous brackets and mounting hardware. If we wanted to mount it on the scope, I think we'd get by for less than that. So that option is right at $1,000, $1,000 to $1,200.
Would that one be sufficient? I assume it would be, or you wouldn't have it here.
It would be, it'd be more than sufficient. I don't really see the need. I mean, it would be nice to have it all as a nice neat package on the scope, but we can't get away from the fact that we've got to have a connection to the roof controller and that sort of thing. So we're going to have some cables running from the pier over to the wall regardless. So my choice would be to buy this Nuke kit, mount that PC over on the wall with a shield over it to protect it from the elements.
Mhm.
And then we would have the power distribution box over on the telescope to plug all of the different equipment into.
One other question. In the past, didn't Arkansas Tech University provide the computer?
They
Okay.
did, and I was gonna ask that question too, Jim. I'm not sure when it became our responsibility to pay for that.
Along the way, it became our responsibility, and I don't know exactly when and where, and how that took place. I say our responsibility. They were having problems. What happened was they were having problems with the computer, and Danny pulled one out of the attic and plugged it in. That's what happened. So I don't know that responsibility changed, but
Yeah,
we ended up providing the computer. But here's how the deal is shaken out, and that is we made it's just the computer is sort of on our end of the functionally it's on our end of the meter, so to speak.
well, and administratively too. I mean,
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna
and
ask, do we need to, in order to not step on any toes, do we need to speak to anyone at Tech before we do?
no,
anything?
we've worked all this out with Tech, and
Okay.
yeah,
in
Tech-
fact, let me finish. They're buying all the filters,
Okay,
and that was part of this arrangement.
Okay.
Instead of us buying our imaging filters, which were gonna be pretty expensive, of the full suite of imaging filters to go with this system, they're buying that, and we said we'll get the computer. One more thing is that when we get the system in, we will have a camera we can sell. I don't know how much we can get for it, but surely we can sell it for something, which
So
will help.
the ST10 that's currently on there, the club owns that.
That's right. Also, one more thing, and that is that Stephen Caldwell has offered to donate or contribute $500 towards this computer.
Oh,
That helps.
that's, yeah.
All right.
Danny, if it were my deal, as much money as this whole rig is worth, I would do the better computer if you think it's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a $50,000 rig sitting there. I don't want to really skimp on the computer either, John. I just also don't want to spend more than is necessary, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
The new computer mounted on the wall is perfectly adequate. The Eagle 4S mounted on the scope is prettier. I mean,
Well, it seems like it's pretty robust.
it's very robust. It has an integrated USB and power controller, but so does this Pegasus Astro Power Box. It's power distribution and a USB hub. So
The second option that Danny put there as well has a little more flexibility in regards to service and maintenance ongoing. If there was an issue with the computer, it can be dealt with separate from the power distribution. Whereas if it's one of the all-in-one boxes like above, then the two are bound together.
yeah, and if we went with the Lucci system, we would be at their mercy to get parts. You know,
That
it's-
was my question, was when it came to any failures and upgradability
Mhm.
long-term.
Yeah, I actually have one of the Prima Lucci boxes on my scope, and it's robust and it's upgradable. It's basically an Intel Nuke in a fancy housing. So it's upgradable and it's serviceable, but not as easily as, say, an Intel Nuke that you just get from Amazon.
I noticed the Eagle needs a RAM upgrade, whereas that's not mentioned on the others. So does the Nuke, if that's how it's pronounced, come with plenty of RAM?
Yeah, this particular one that I've linked to here comes with 16 gigs of RAM, so that's why I left it off.
Yeah.
It only has like a 256 or 512 SSD in it, so given the potential number of users and the size of the images coming off that camera, I felt like we needed a terabyte.
Will that be plenty or do we need more?
I mean, we could go with 2 terabytes for future growth.
2 terabytes, not that expensive anymore.
Well, the 1
On
terabyte
SSD,
yeah, the 1 terabyte SSD is 100, and I want to say the 2 was 250 or so.
yeah.
Oh. I was thinking more like 129, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, it's more than that.
Crucial likes to
This is
test me occasionally.
Yeah.
Test my
Is
will.
this one of those little M2 NVMe small little
Hmm.
integrated? Yeah,
Yeah.
they still haven't come down like the small form factor platters. Well, they're not platters anymore, but anyway.
They're absolutely cheap compared to what they were a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, a 2 terabyte SSD of any form would have cost you, I don't know, $800 or more.
Or more, yeah, or more.
So
Darryl still here? Daryl?
I'm not sure I'm happy with that 20 amp power supply I've linked there. I want to research that a little more. I was doing this in between tasks at work one day and I didn't really get to research that one thoroughly. So
The 10 amp power supply that Pegasus Astro sells is $70-ish, 72, 76. So it's not out of the line. The 20 amps that's a pretty beefy power supply, especially for a brick.
well,
Or
it
switch
is.
them.
That's one thing that concerns me. But the camera alone the spec sheet for the camera requires 8 amps. Which is quite a bit.
Did you say?
Right?
I'm sorry.
How does that camera draw 8 amps?
I don't know, Chris. I had the same reaction, but when you go to the SBIG website and look at the camera we bought,
Wow.
specifications are 8 amps, and it's got a hell of a Peltier cooler in it, and it's also, they probably built in some fudge factor because they're running all of their accessories off the camera. They're running their filter
Yeah.
wheel, the AO, and everything.
You need to research this some more before we do a vote.
I move we budget $1,200 for the camera for the RRT.
I think $1,200 we can get this done. So.
Right.
Especially, and then, yeah, we've got the 500 also to consider that has been offered as a donation.
Bruce, was that a motion on your part?
Yes,
Is there a second?
I second it.
All
This
those in
is
favor?
to go with the second option.
yes.
Okay.
You do, Ken? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Okay. All right, let's see. So now we can move on to the clubhouse AC. Is Doug on? Or-
Doug,
Bruce,
is not-
or John, did you want to discuss that with us?
Well, I was just looking on Home Depot's website and I was looking at 240-volt air conditioners because that's what's run over there. And most of those are 18,000, which is a ton and a half. I
Hey,
wasn't
John,
sure
that window
how
unit.
big that opening is. Go ahead.
Are we talking about the window unit in the clubhouse?
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's 240?
No, that's
Yeah.
110.
That's 110, yeah.
the
There's
one
no-
is there now is 110, but the one that came out was 240, and that's what the plug is for.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to argue with the electrician in the room. Sorry. I don't mean to, John, I think the one in the classroom is certainly the P-TECH is 220, but that one that was in the clubhouse, I'm almost certain that was 110.
Hey, Chris.
I was too, but I looked when I was changing it out, I noticed that's what it was, and there's a breaker in there for it.
He had to
Really?
run a line to another outlet to run
Right.
the other one.
And I was there helping John do it. and
Wow.
That's why I was surprised.
I would have,
That kind of makes sense because it was a pretty good sized unit and it had heat in it too, I think.
Well, it had a heat pump in it
Okay,
that makes them bigger.
yeah.
well, there we go. I'm sorry. I would have sworn it was 110.
I would have too, Chris, but it makes sense.
Okay.
That one
John,
that we put in
and-
there is not very big. It doesn't really quite do the job.
To answer your question, John, the opening is 23 and 1/4 inches wide and 16 and a scooch tall. So
Oh,
that system you found will not fit.
no, it won't. It's not a very big opening, is it?
No.
Hmm.
Got a chainsaw?
Well, we could build it bigger, I guess. We really wanted to, but
Hey, I could make some nitroglycerin in my lab.
Well, the threshold question here, though, is people have raised the idea of putting a split package in there. And that seems to me to be the threshold issue, is to whether you want a split package or whether you want a window unit. And if you want a window unit, do you want it with or without heat? I think we do want it to be smart, quote unquote, whatever we get. But those are the issues, John. The
well,
threshold issues.
the split units are going to be more expensive, but they're, definitely nicer.
Well, I think one advantage of those split units is the heat pump, because right now we're using what, 3, I think, individual space heaters that plug into the wall.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Those aren't the safest devices ever.
What's the minimal budget then we're looking at?
I found one online for $800, a 12,000 BTU.
Okay,
It was 700 and something actually, but you'd budget 800.
I think Chris had found one too that had you could order a different length of line sets. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, when I was doing research on this, when I was building this office, and it's probably changed because that's been 2 years ago. Most of them that you would get like on eBay would just come with a default 25-foot or 20-foot line set. Some of the companies will offer them with like a 10-foot line set, or you can order the line set to match your run, and they're pre-charged and they're basically a little overcharged. But if you don't get the line set, you end up coiling that or flaring it to. It's really hard to get those flares right. Just to circle back, in my mind, in this particular case, if we could find a traditional air conditioner that fits that closure that we can pick up for, a few $100s, particularly if we can find one in, November, late September, August, somewhere where it's closeout towards the end of the year, and kick this can down the road, we get by fine on the space heaters, the ceramic ones, not those coiled resistive wire, the ones that Pat Morris used to say when you plug those in, you could use your electric meter for a skill saw. Those are dangerous, but the ceramics in the oil field, I don't think are too bad. But I don't know if we're biting off a lot of projects, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The RV part, and now if we talk about a mini split, it's going to require a vacuum pump and all sorts of non-trivial labor. That's just my 2 cents.
How critical is it that we replace the clubhouse AC at this point? Is it something we need to move on immediately, or can we do as Chris suggests and hold off until the fall and look for a better option or a better deal?
Well, I don't know, maybe others that were up there for the meeting would have some input on this. I mean, it was working. It wasn't, people weren't in there sweating.
No, but what happened is, as people were going in and out of the clubhouse, either going out to, get their scopes ready or walking out to helping get the computer going for the meeting, you could see that it was taxed. It's not the best thing. I mean, if you are in there and the door is shut and remains shut, yeah, it does an adequate job. So, I mean, yeah, we could live with that.
And
And
we
some
can,
some
we
people
can
sat in
improve
there
it.
with the door open.
We can improve it too, because we've not, the units in there now is smaller than the whole. And we've really not done anything to insulate it. It probably would help to pack something in there behind there. I think we could let it rock till fall and figure out something.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and set a preliminary budget of $800, and Doug's not here, but Doug and John and Bruce, you want to be on the committee to
Yeah, we'll
get this
we
further?
find a bargain somewhere along the way. We'll pick something up.
Does anyone want to make a motion? I can't, I guess, make the motion, but does anyone want to make a motion regarding this?
Do we want it to have a heater in it or not? That's still a possibility, I guess.
Yeah, that always makes them more expensive when you have a heat pump instead of just an air conditioner.
All right, so we're talking an air conditioner with a smart feature, so we can turn it on in the summer before we get up there. Is that it? Is that what we're talking about?
I think so. As it's outlined in the agenda, we're talking about setting aside a budget, putting people on a committee to investigate it.
Right. Yeah, $500 would probably be adequate for that.
So you want to make that as a motion?
Okay. So move.
Is there a second?
Can I ask a
Go ahead.
quick question? Sorry, I just had something just entered into my head. Have we measured the window unit that we put in the classroom? And the reason I ask that, if that window unit that's in the classroom would fit in the clubhouse, we could spend that money on a mini split for the club or for the classroom and come out better in the long run.
Oh,
The one,
good
the one in
question.
the classroom works well.
I don't know
Yeah,
how big
so-
it is. I don't know what the BTU rating is on it. It would definitely go in the hole. It's a small unit. It just might not
Anyway,
be powerful enough. We'll just have to check it.
I don't think it's as big as the one that was in there before. But yeah, that is a good idea. We could do that.
Using Doug's formula, we come up with needing something around 12,000 BTUs for that clubhouse.
You'd need 24,000 if the door is gonna be revolving and left open.
Yeah,
I
And
don't
there's an
think you can get them that
incredible-
big.
There's an incredible amount of thermal mass that builds up in there when that building just sets and
Oh, yeah.
it's 115, 120 degrees, and every 2x4 and all the insulation and the counters and everything in there is the books and everything is putting off heat.
I withdraw my motion. I move that we table this issue.
Is there a second to that?
I
pending
second
further
that.
Investigation.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Then this brings us to item 5, which is the classroom AC.
I think we table that too.
Table that.
I move we table that.
All right,
Second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just ask what the issue with the classroom air conditioner was? that got it
It's
on-
not working real well.
Okay,
It seemed like we had it running and running and running the other night, Chris and I. And it was, it was just taking forever. It had both units running, taking forever to cool the room down. And I wasn't sure the air coming out of it was any colder than what was outside.
well, I can tell you one issue that it had, because I cut the weeds down around it. It couldn't breathe.
Yeah. Well, Doug thinks that it's probably choked up with, that the fan and the coils are probably, but he
Yeah.
can't get up there until a week after this next.
I think it's definitely worth trying to service it and clean it up, see if it's
Yeah.
really gonna work.
Just remember that was installed in 1995.
Oh, it's outlived its
Yeah.
normal life, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's on short
well,
legs.
Does anyone want to suggest then that we table it and just investigate cleaning and all that sort of stuff, maintenance?
Yep.
Yeah,
I did so move.
Okay, all right.
I second it.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we move on to the Eclipse glasses. I'm gonna turn it over to Darcy.
Okay, this shouldn't take as long. The Eclipse glasses, about the artwork that's ready to submit. Our vendor is Rainbow Symphony, and earlier we talked about a quantity of 3,000. Partnerships, there won't be any unless ANSA wants to go in with us buying some stock glasses. And there's a reason I'm saying this. The Arkansas State Library is gifting Eclipse glasses to the public libraries, and it's based on about 1/3 of their patron numbers. We've been talking with Jen Wan with the Arkansas State Library, and she is negotiating an agreement with Rainbow Symphony that the public libraries and the other groups who have earlier joined with us, that's like ANSA and Arkansas Tech Library and Harding University Library, that all of these people, there's about 15 groups that would be able to purchase from Rainbow Symphony at a discount. And Rainbow Symphony will require a minimum order of 3,000 pairs at 38 cents each, which is 20% off the distributor pricing. And if the library or any of the other groups want to order stock glasses with their own logos, their discount will be the same for the custom, but stock ones would be at a higher discount. So that's the same price that we talked about at the time that we went to the library and had the show and tell of the different materials that each of the vendors offered. I inquired with Rainbow Symphony today to confirm if we would get this price. I haven't heard back from them yet. But 3,000 glasses times 38 cents is $1,140. The shipping weight for 100 glasses is 1 pound, so that'd be 30 pounds. The shipping is from California. A carton will hold 3,200 glasses. Shipping used to be less than 3 cents each. Today, I don't know what the shipping will be. But that's our options. If we want to buy custom glasses, we buy 3,000 at that price.
All right.
That sounds good. That's what we sold last time, I believe, was 3,000.
Yeah,
I want to buy, I want to buy $200 worth myself.
I don't think we're gonna have any difficulty in selling them, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
At a later time, we'll talk about selling prices,
Okay.
but this is just buying tonight.
So
Do we need a motion to do this right now, or are you just giving us information?
We're ready to buy
All right.
if we have the money.
I make a motion to purchase them.
I second that.
Did we decide that 3,000 was the quantity we're buying?
That's our minimum order. We can order more if we want. If ANSA wants to, Bruce was kind of reluctant to buy a large quantity. So if he wanted to buy just some stock glasses, which means they don't have any logo on the earpieces, it's just a pretty colorful print. He could order however many of those he wanted, as long as it fit in the box. We'll pay extra shipping. But this offer is conditional if that's the price that I have asked about is true and correct. If I hear something different from Rainbow Symphony, then I would let you know.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, we were making a motion to purchase and I didn't know that we had actually stated how many we were purchasing, so.
Right, 3,000.
Well, then I remember the last time we were selling Eclipse glasses and everyone was scrambling to get them. And we ran out. I mean, we kept ordering.
Yeah.
We need to up the number that we're gonna order, you think, or should we stick with just 3,000? Because
This
this
is a good
time,
question.
we are going to be competing with a lot of other entities.
Mhm.
Not only Arkansas Space Grant Consortium is going to be providing public schools with the glasses, but CALS is going to be doing it, and presumably
CALS is getting an allotment from the state library, just like all the other libraries.
And they're gonna be
they will
giving
be
them
our
away.
competitors. I mean,
There's gonna be a lot of free glasses out there. is what
That's what I'm
you're trying
saying.
to
There's going to be a
say.
lot of free glasses out there. So
Darcy, let me ask you. a
Walmart
question.
might be one of our competitors too.
Darcy, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
About ANSA here. If you were to order more cast glasses, what kind of lots would you have to order them in? In other words, what I'm thinking is ANSA might just buy some cast glasses. We might just pitch in and buy some cast glasses and not have and so you just be part of your order. But
Why don't you buy some stock ones that don't have anything on them? And you
I'd
get them
rather-
cheaper.
Really?
Yeah, you get them cheaper. And it can be less than 3,000. I imagine you could buy just a few hundred if you wanted to.
Mhm.
I'm
Okay.
sure Cass would be happy to sell you some though, Bruce.
I don't
well,
think you mean cheaper, Darcy.
Sir,
Bruce is not gonna beat that price. What do you mean by that it'll be cheaper? You just mean buy a smaller quantity at a higher
if
price
it's-
is cheaper than buying 3,000 for
we're talking about
1,400.
well,
We're
no,
talking about the difference between a stock unprinted glass and a custom glass on that one. You know, Cass has the earpiece that says Cass, and then the stock ones are blank. We could give him a magic marker and he could print ANSA on each one.
That's not my question. My question is if we increase your order, some of them being paid for by ANSA.
I think it's
How does
units
that
of
work?
1,000.
It's units of what?
1,000.
So you would either go, you would have to go to 4,000 from 3,000. That's my question.
Yes,
So
Yeah.
if Ansa wanted to order 1,000, then you would just order 4,000.
correct.
Yeah, all right.
Well, the question someone raised that we'd have a lot of competition. I wasn't part of CAS when you had the last one, but was that competition still there at that time, or is it getting ramped up because this is a total solar eclipse?
It was there because schools were acquiring glasses and giving them out to their students for free. So yeah, all the public schools were doing their thing. But even so, even though we were running up against that kind of competition, we still just kept selling out of glasses like within days of getting them in, and then we had to order and get more. So
I don't think the libraries were giving them away. They weren't being retailed here. I think that eclipse snuck up on people.
Yeah.
And we weren't in the path here in
Right.
Arkansas.
So it
And-
is going to be a bit different this time, and that everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people are going to be going into this with the expectation, knowing that there's going to be a total solar eclipse, and there's going to be a lot of people out there trying to make, money.
The tourism department is ordering what, 100,000 of these
Yeah, something
glasses?
like that.
The library systems are ordering glasses, and they're all giving them away.
They're all giving away for free.
Yeah.
However, we consider we have 2 eclipses coming. And will the school children have them between 2023 and will they lose them before 2024 comes in? I might lose my own between then.
I got one more question. So let's say you order 3,000 now,
Uh-huh.
and then later we decide we want more. Would you have to order them? Could you order some more at this price in lots of 1,000, or you got to order another lot of 3,000?
I will write and ask and find out for you, okay?
Yeah.
My
Because that-
guess would be they'd be more expensive regardless of what size you buy.
Yeah, they might be, but the real question is could you go back and buy smaller lots, like 1,000 lots? Or have you got to go back for every time for the 3,000 to get the best price?
I will
That's-
inquire and find out for you.
So do we need to table this until you get that information?
We can do that.
Yeah.
So we know where we're going. What we're looking for. So I should have the answer.
And
Pretty
then
quickly.
once you get that information, we'll just do it as an electronic vote, send it out as an email instead of waiting for another board meeting. This is something we'll have to act on relatively soon in order to get the orders in. Because there's a lot of orders being put in right now, to these companies, so we need to act
That's
quickly.
right.
The price of shipping is going up.
Maybe gas will come down. You think it could happen?
We're talking diesel trucks.
Oh, is diesel going up or down?
Oh,
Hey, Bruce, go pick them up for us.
Yeah,
Darcy, find out that information and then let me know as soon as you get it, and we'll send this out as an email for electronic vote.
I will.
Thank you. Let's see. So it has come to my attention that we have lost our program chair. She was calling me yesterday wanting to talk, and I never got the chance to talk. She did communicate with Nathan. Bottom line is we are without a program chair. And I guess I will send out an email to the group, see if anyone wants to step up to the plate and take that on.
well,
To do it.
so Daryl, Bruce and I have been chatting. And one of the things we thought to make it an even easier job is if we actually have a program committee. If you remember, Darcy and a few others tried to work with Kit to help her with that project. The problem is she just would move forward and not utilize the help. But if we have an actual committee set up, and I think Kit would be a great member of that committee, banking on her experience. and she knew that the directive was coming from the president that, yeah, everyone's got to work together. You know, you have a meeting, you make the selections, and then the offers go out. I think it would, one, lessen the burden on any individual. And number two, I think broaden our ability to reach out and get good speakers.
All right. I will talk to her, but the vibe that I was getting through other channels is that she's not willing to do that, but.
No, I'm just saying, you form the committee, she could be a member of the committee. I'm not saying that she would be chairman or whatever, but you set up the committee, and I mentioned I would volunteer to help, be on the committee if you so desire.
Program chairing that's the hardest job in any group. I've been in other groups and it's terrible. It's easier to do a program yourself than get somebody else to do it.
Well,
When you're talking about a niche group like us, and you only have so many resources out there to fall upon.
Right.
We used to do all this internally. We didn't have to bring in guest speakers every time we met. It was all done in-house, so to speak. And I don't see any reason why we can't do that again, and just every now and again bring in speakers.
right, no, that's true. But the problem is, I've been a member for 3 years, and basically we have about 9 or 10 people at most. I think maybe a little less than that actually present. Is that always been the case? Couldn't we try to expand that with some of the newer members who seem a little more aggressive? I had a talk with a few other people that have been relatively new and we're out observing, and they said, sure, they'd love to give a presentation. So, I mean, can we expand that?
I
Did
think,
you sign them up?
I wasn't anything to do with programming at that time, but
That doesn't matter. You can get their name and
I did.
say, we'll get in touch with you.
That's
Anyway,
the beauty
Daryl-
of the committee is you have multiple resources looking for
Correct.
talent.
I'm talking not a large committee, maybe 3 people.
all right, well, I'm going to put you as the tentative head of that committee right now. And if you could think
You
of
being who, me or Darcy?
you,
Michael.
I will do that.
right?
And
Darcy,
then-
do you want to be a part of that committee?
After the eclipse, I will be.
Okay,
Okay, that's good.
all right.
let me just say that my thought and that Michael and I are largely on the same wavelength, except with one regard, and that is I don't think it ought to be a small committee. I think it ought to be everybody that is likely to be a presenter, and you just meet twice a year.
No,
And
Bruce,
you
that's
sit
never
down.
going to
Listen,
work.
listen, let
That's
me-
too many people.
Huh?
That's my opinion.
Well, you're just going to turn it into a perpetual job, though. It's going to be every month or every other month, you're going to have a committee meeting and decide something. This way, you get everybody in a room twice a year, and you say, what are we going to do for the next 6 months?
Bruce, you can't rely on
And-
people. But this is one of the things that Kit would run into, is that someone says they're going to do something, but then like 3 or 4 weeks before the thing
Right.
happens, you lose that someone backs out.
Well,
So
I
you
think
have to-
that-
Sometimes
to-
you get spontaneous offers that you really need to
Right.
bite on pretty quick.
And I think you need to meet more frequently than, let's say quarterly, but I don't think twice a year is going to work. I just don't. I've been
well, you're
involved with
sharing it.
program with other clubs I've been in, including my stamp club and other things like that. And you need to meet more frequently, in my opinion and my experience.
You're
Let the
running it.
program chair decide what to do with that.
That's right. I agree. We got us a chair. Let's move
We
forward.
Well-
gotta keep-
At least temporary, but yeah, I'll take on.
we got to keep the program chair happy.
And start thinking about other people you'd like to see on that committee with you. And I'll think of some names as well, bounce them off.
Okay.
you, And we'll get it going. Okay, it's after 8 o'clock. I think that's all we have right now. Does anyone else have anything they want to bring to the board's attention? All right, well,
I have a real quick thing, super
Sure.
quick. I've already talked to Jay. She's gonna come up and train on the camera and Zoom stuff up at the classroom. Anybody else wants to, if you hear of any of that, have them reach out to me and I'll schedule a time or maybe even a group at some point. That was it.
Thank you. I'm working on Astronomical League Lunar Observing Program. I want to get out and do some observing tonight. So unless anyone has anything else, I'm going to say we're done. Stick a fork in it. And
I make a motion to close.
is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. See y'all later.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.